So I initially made a video on how Star Wars Jedi Survivor performs on the Shadow power upgrade. Now it wasn't a full review, but really an initial test to see if the latest updates were good to play. One of the biggest issues was that the system Koboh is one of the most demanding points in the game. I never got to cover it in the video, so I'm covering it now on the Shadow power upgrade along with the Shadow boost tier, along with something special. Let's get into it. So there's been another update since my last video. Plus, I've actually made it to Koboh for this test. Now what I've noticed is that I actually have no problem running the game in most spots on high settings at 4K. I was hitting 50 to 60 FPS on average, but of course, this was without ray tracing. Now there are certain spots, especially on Koboh, that could use a bump. This is especially the case when you turn ray tracing on, and if you're a guy who loves ray tracing, you're gonna be down bad. Until now. I downloaded this FSR3 mod and installed it to my Steam version of the game. You can get the mod here at Nexus Mods. I'll have the link in the description. You might need to sign up if you don't have an account. Download and extract the file somewhere. Find the location of the game on your system. Move these two files to these location in game files. Run this disable NVIDIA check file. Then you can run the game. So with my current settings and ray tracing on, I hit about 25 FPS in town on Koboh. With frame generation on, your frames will double. High graphics settings, DLSS and ray tracing on at 4K, 50 to 60 FPS. FSR3 is the real deal, people. In many other places, I've been hitting FPS between 80 to 100 on average. FSR3 frame generation is gonna be a lifesaver with older hardware. Now of course not everything's perfect. The biggest problems I've had was this. Text and many visuals are noticeably distorted when frame generation is on, especially at 4K. Now this is a known issue and it does happen in other games. Now my other issue is this. It's nice getting an FPS above 60, but as I stated in the previous video, it doesn't matter! Why? Because the decoder at 4K still only averages around 45 FPS for me. Bummer. Now for 1080p players, this is a completely different story. FPS still hits around the same, but with frame generation on, that number again doubles. But the great thing about 1080p is that the Shadow decoder can handle streams higher than 60 at 1080p, making this the most optimal way to play the game. With the graphics settings the same and frame generation on, I've gotten streams in the triple digits. 1080p players on the power upgrade are really winning here. Now because of the success of FSR3 frame generation on the power upgrade, I had to test it on the boost tier. And I'm sorry to say, it's just unsupported. I'm sorry. Plus, performance is so bad on the boost tier, I don't recommend playing this game on this tier at all. This is 1080p at low settings with FSR on Ultra. I was hoping this might work, but frame generation doesn't seem to work with this generation of GPUs. It's just that old. I'll throw some frame generation gameplay footage on my other channel, link in the description. So if you like this overview of Star Wars Jedi Survivor on both Shadow gaming tiers, give us a like. Also make sure to join as a member of the channel or join our Patreon and our Discord in the links below. And above all else, make sure to subscribe to keep it locked right here at the only place where you can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle.